Good morning, friends. My name is Darren St. George, and welcome to another Monday morning program with Sal St. George. If you've been with us before, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to see you. If this is your first time, welcome to the party. This is how we start each and every week celebrating entertainment's leaders, legends, and icons. And this morning is, of course, no exception. We are talking with the president, Bruce Howley, of the Circus Historical Society, and we are very excited to have him with us. Good morning, Bruce. How are you? Just unmute your mic, and we'll be ready to go.
Good
There you
morning.
go.
It's nice to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you, Bruce. It's our pleasure. Hey, Pop, how are you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'm so glad that Bruce is here today because where does circus fit into 2025?
Oh, the circus is alive and well in 2025. Interestingly, I just read a report that came in last week, and last year there were 48 circuses touring the United States in 2024. And I think as of about 3 weeks ago, there were at least 35 that are on the road already for this year.
Wow. And what kind of circuses are they? Are they the traditional that we remember from our childhood, or have they taken on new look, a new face?
Oh, it's all types. Circuses come in many forms. There are the arena style circus, which people are familiar with, Ringling Brothers, Barnum and Bailey. Then there are many, many tented circuses that are out there. There are circuses that play large cities, small cities. They're all different formats. In the greater New York area, for example, you see the Big Apple Circus, which plays in Lincoln Center in a
Right.
prime location in a tent. And then over in Queens, you have Circus Vasquez. They play over near City Field in a large tent. And in Brooklyn, there are circuses, Flip Circus. There's all types that are out there.
Wow. Do you remember any circuses, Darren?
I do. I remember going with you and obviously the family, and we were lucky enough to stay to have a box seats. I don't know if that's what they are called in the circus,
Yeah,
but it was
at
incredible.
Madison Square. It was at Madison Square Garden.
There you go. Yeah, I remember seeing them. It was just a wonderful experience. All the food and the entertainment, the animals, a lot of animals at that time. Circus has changed a bit since then with different types of attractions. But yeah, I do. I remember going. It was wonderful.
What is the status of animals in today's world?
It depends on the location. Certain cities prohibit the exhibition of what they call exotic animals, and others allow it. It depends on the location. Generally, domestic animals, horses, camels, dogs, those types of animals are permitted in most locations. But the exotics, which would include caged acts like lions and tigers and elephants, are prohibited. So it depends on the location. Generally in the rural areas, you'll see all types of animals. In the urban areas, you may be limited to just dogs and ponies and horses.
How did you get involved with all this, Bruce?
It's in my blood. I'm a distant relative of P.T. Barnum. He was my fourth cousin, 6 times removed. We're very close. And over the years, my family was involved in the circus. The winter quarters for Barnum and Bailey Circus used to be in Bridgeport, Connecticut. And Barnum was from that area just outside of New York City. And my great grandfather worked for Bailey, actually, Barnum's partner in the late 1800s, all the way up through probably the early 1910, 1920s. And then other members of my family were involved as acrobats. They worked in vaudeville in the winter and circus in the summer, all the way up to probably the mid 1960s. Because of my family's interest in it, I got involved in the Barnum Museum, which is in Bridgeport. I was a member of the board of directors there for many years. And of course, I'm president of the Circus Historical Society, and I was a member of the board of the Circus Fans Association as well. So that's my background.
Okay, Darren, you tell him.
Oh, what are you thinking of precisely? This is incredible, though, the history.
Yeah, our association with PT.
So we visited the P.T. Barnum Museum as well. We've been there twice now. They were one of our first programs, and then last month, or no, beginning of this month, they were our first revisit for 2025. However, we are collaborating with them on another project that we hope to be able to announce in the coming months. So we're big fans of PT Barnum and the museum and their efforts over there. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
thank you.
Kathy has the same enthusiasm and passion for her subject matter as you do.
Thank you. And Kathy is a good friend. And God bless her and the board. I termed out my limits. I was term limited, but basically they're very, very active. And I've been involved with the Barnum Museum since the 1980s.
And what does the Historic Society do?
Circus Historical Society was founded in 1939. As our name implies, we're a history organization. Our mission is to preserve, protect, and defend the history of the circus through education. It's a nice group. We have about 675 full members. We have a very large presence on social media. We have over 13,500 people who follow us on our page and Facebook group. And our journal is our main product. It's called the Bandwagon, and it's a scholarly journal, researched articles, footnotes, all that good stuff, written by our members and guest writers. We publish that quarterly. And we also have a convention where everybody gathers. So that's how we operate, virtually and through paper and in person at our conventions.
The convention intrigues me. Can anybody go? You have to be a member, or can you just go to this?
Anyone can attend. The registration for non-members includes a 1 year membership. So everybody there is technically a member. But our next convention will be in Las Vegas. We haven't announced the date and venue yet, but it will be in the fall of this year. We'll probably announce that in the next 2 or 3 weeks or so.
And what happens at your conventions?
Conventions usually last 3 days. There are presentations. It's an historical society, so we have papers that are delivered. There's usually about 15 or 20 different speakers. They have 30-minute time slots. We also have some panel discussions, which are longer, of course. And we have then some activity that's associated with it. We usually visit a circus or we visit a circus museum. And we'll have movie night. Usually someone comes in and does a presentation about some circus movie, sort of an after hours thing. Like for example, we in not last year, year before, we did a convention in Illinois, and the movie night included a showing of the movie Trapeze with Burt Lancaster and Gina Lollobrigida and Tony Curtis. And
Yeah.
we were fortunate enough to have some people who were involved in the production of that movie in attendance. So they gave us the backstory, if you will, and how that all came about. So it was very interesting.
Is there a movie that you think is really very accurate in its portrayal of circus life?
Sure. The classic movie, of course, is The Greatest Show on Earth by Cecil B. DeMille. It was filmed in the early 1950s. I think it was released in 51. That captured the heyday of the circus at that time. It's a melodrama,
Hmm.
but Charlton Heston is in that movie, and Betty Hutton and Jimmy Stewart. It's an all-star cast. But that's probably the classic movie, and it did win an Academy Award for Cecil B. DeMille. But there are many other movies as well. More recently, people are interested in the Barnum movie, The Greatest Showman, which is loosely based on Barnum. Uh,
Very loose.
very loosely, but it's a wonderful movie. In my view, the music is outstanding, and it resonates with the spirit of Barnum. It may not have been accurate historically, but they certainly captured the spirit of Barnum. And by the way, they did consult with the Barnum Museum as they were putting that together. So that's another thing that we do. We serve as sort of a resource as historical society and of course the museums for movie production companies, for authors who are writing books. And there's a lot of literature out there, a lot of historical fiction. People reach out to us. We were recently involved in providing an historian to be filmed in connection with a movie that's going to be released in Australia next year. So about a famous circus artist, Con Coliano, who was had Aboriginal roots, and there's a documentary coming out on that. And one of our speakers went to one of our historians was interviewed for that movie.
There are
Bruce,
some.
tell me, with
Go ahead.
all of the books and the films that have come out about circus and circus performers, are there any circus stories that you haven't seen brought to light that you would like to see adapted into a film or a book?
That's a great question. To be candid, there's so many different aspects of circus. There's the culture of the circus, the traveling part of it, the logistics part of it. It's one of those subjects that's just so filled with opportunities for some story that relates to the circus. And a lot of the stuff that's coming out now is biographical. We see a lot of biographies. There was one that came out last year that about a circus by a circus clown. Her name is Denise Payne, black woman who was one of the first black women clowns, Ringling Brothers, and it's her bio. It's a wonderful book about that, and she accurately describes what it was like being in the circus during that period, which would basically be the 1970s and forward. But there are so many great topics. I'd love to see on any topic. There's lots to work with.
Bruce, we have a question. I'm not quite sure, but Anna asks, was the panel on trapeze archived?
It was not. Sadly, we did that in a theater, and we didn't film it. It was a movie theater in Illinois, but we did not film that particular. However, there is, as I think, correcting myself a little bit, we didn't archive that, but there is a story in one of our articles of Bandwagon about that movie, about the making of the movie, and unfortunately, it's one of those issues that we have embargoed, if you will, that you have to be a member to get. Our back issues we made available, but there is an issue about trapeze in Bandwagon, and be happy if this person is interested in joining. Be happy to send her the link for that.
Oh, that's great. We'd be happy to share it with the with our audience. Bruce, we have your presentation. You want to start clicking through, and we'll talk, and just let us know if you want to. Next slide.
Okay, we'll do it that way. Next slide, please.
There you go.
Uh, okay, so as I mentioned earlier, we were founded in 1939. We're a 501(c) nonprofit organization, about 675 full members in 12 countries. We have members in Canada, Europe, South America, Asia, just about everywhere. And it's growing. Our international component is growing. Our mission simply is to preserve, promote, and share through education, we're an educational institution, the history and cultural significance of the circus and the allied arts, past and present. So that captures our mission. Next slide, please.
Bruce, in what country would you say circuses are most popular?
Um, I would say that in Europe, Germany, France, Hungary, our circuses are at a different level of popularity. Certainly in the United States, as I mentioned earlier, there's 50 circuses touring the United States right now. But I would put Germany, France, and Hungary at the top.
I'm also curious about the allied arts that you have there.
So you've got all the circus is a little different than say ballet or acrobatics, gymnastics. It's a combination. So as you go through our material and you look at what we talk about, we do talk about Olympians who become acrobats in the circus. We talk about music. We talk about the choreography, and those are, I guess, the allied arts that we talk about.
Pop, hearing Bruce talk about circus and what it means to be a circus performer, I think they're tapping into a style of performance that we're looking for in today's entertainers on screen.
Hmm.
If you look back at classic entertainers, they would James Cagney, for example, he would sing, he would dance, he would be dramatic, he could be comedic, and you had all of that coming together, regardless of your background. You pulled those talents into one place, and it seems like with circus performers, they're able to utilize different talents and improve themselves to be a performer.
That's exactly right. And quite candidly, I just returned from the International Circus Festival in Monte Carlo, which they have every year. And as a good example of that, they had some terrific clowns. And the clowns that you would see at that level are expert jugglers, expert acrobats, expert musicians. So they combine, these other skills into clowning as a good example. But you're absolutely right. Many circus performers do have they're experts in other skills. Back to our movie for a moment. Burt Lancaster was a circus performer in real life, and there are others along the way too that had some time in the circus before they went on to be, in other career fields.
Yep, and that's what I love to see. Wow. Okay, great. Let's
I
continue.
think I know you mentioned Burt Lancaster. Everybody knows that he went from circus to he was an acrobat, correct?
That's right.
And he made it. He did a great job as an actor. But aside from Emmett Kelly, has there been anybody else that has come out of the circus world?
Buster,
Buster Keaton. Buster
right?
Keaton. I'm
Didn't he
not sure.
start? His family was in circus, weren't they?
No, they were in vaudeville.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
I'm not. I can't think of an example right now,
yeah.
but certainly, Emmett Kelly became a legend, or is a legend, for what he did. And but there another example of a major clown is Bello Knock. He's an extreme acrobat. He does very risky high wire walking, wheel of destiny they call it, sway pole, but in a comedic way. So the clowns have kind of moved on from sort of walking around with high makeup, a lot of makeup and stuff. Many of the clowns today have no makeup. The trend is towards that direction, but also but showing their comedic skills, and so that's kind of the way that things go right now. Yep.
Bill
This
Irwin is the recommendation.
Okay. Well, that's an
For,
example. I don't know that personally, but that could be. Yeah.
yeah. Thank you, Mark.
Okay.
okay.
Next slide. If you can click on that. Oh no, back. Yeah. Click on the link.
On circus history.
Yeah, please.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If you could expand that a little bit. Okay, so this is our website, as you can see. And um, Darren, do you want to give me control and I can scroll and all that?
All right. Let's see here. It's actually Cassandra running that element of it. So let's see. Can Cassandra? Can you offer screen control for that?
Make me a co-host.
All right. And I see Ellen commented in the chat. They have an issue with clowns. Is that is this has this always been an issue with clowns? 100 years ago, were people concerned about clowns, or is this a recent
No, no,
development?
no. It's more recent development. It kind of starts with you know,
Stephen King.
the scary clown thing.
Yeah.
But things have changed. The circus, like any art form, just changes with the times,
Yeah.
um, and people have adjusted. As I said, there's very little makeup right now. You hardly ever see clowns in makeup these
Yeah.
days.
Hey, Bruce. So I made you a co-host, and I think you need to request to be able to take over the mouse. So if you see that view options button next to the screen share.
Okay, do you have that? Do I have it now?
Stay.
I'm sharing now.
Oh,
Oh,
there
yeah,
you go.
go right
Yep,
ahead.
you got it.
Great.
Okay, good. Thank you very much. Let me just
Of
hit.
course. Thank you.
Great. Okay. Hopefully this
And
will work.
away
Okay.
we go.
And away we go. So as I mentioned, we're not a physical location. We're virtual, if you will. And so a lot of our stuff is here on our website.
Oh, we still see your PowerPoint though, not the website.
Let's see, how do I do that? Well, that's what I'm looking at, is the website. Oh, you
No, no,
still.
no. We see the PowerPoint
Oh,
slide,
you
not the
still.
website.
Okay,
Yep.
how do I fix that? Uh,
There was an old Disney movie that I used to when I was a kid. Toby Tyler.
Toby Chow in a circus. Cassandra, I can't. Um, change
So
that.
there was where the share screen button is, you should be
Yep.
able to share more,
Oh, share more.
and then it'll give you the option to show another screen. So if it opened up in a separate window.
Oh, I see. I got the share. Um, hang on. Okay, clicked on it again. You can't see the website though.
No. You know
No.
what you can do? Stop your share and then
Yep.
just show us your website, and we'll bounce back and forth.
Okay, that'll work.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll work. Okay, can you see that now?
No, go ahead. Click share
Oh, I
screen.
got to do the share again. Yep.
Yep.
Here we. That's it.
Almost. It's loading.
Yay! There it
Success.
Yay.
is.
Okay, good, good, good. All right, thank you. Okay, so anyways, this is our website. As you can see, we have photographs of beautiful circus wagons. Over the years, wagons were a way of advertising the circus, and for many, many years, when circuses arrived in town in the morning, there was a circus parade, and that's the purpose of all these beautiful wagons. Many of them are restored and out at the Circus World Museum in Baraboo, Wisconsin, which was the original home of the Ringling Brothers. That's where they started. And so it's a terrific museum. If you haven't visited Circus World Museum, I recommend you check that out. But many of these wagons are there. So just to show you around, this is our mission, our conventions coming up, our Circus History Live programs. These are programs just like the one we're doing today. We did one last night that Sal actually sat in on, but I'll click through those a little bit in a second. But we basically take folks who are involved in the circus one industry and put them online in a format just like this and talk about that and record it. The bandwagon is the journal that I mentioned. And we're also a resource for research. A lot of folks come to us when they're, as I said, working on a movie, working on a book, they want some background. We get media requests all the time. We got one yesterday, actually. So we're a resource for that. And there's our mission again. And there's a note from me, and you can see the photographs that we have. We try to use historic photographs, and there are so many that are out there. So just a quick look through the research tabs. So you can see here, these are all the research buttons that we have. Links to go to, logistics, the parade, film, video, different aspects of the circus that we have. And events that the Circus History Live I mentioned, that was the one we did yesterday. Let's see if it's there. Looking through. Okay, so that just shows the back ones. I gotta change my status here because I'm public view. Public view. Click. There we go. But those were this is a list of things that we've done in the past, as you can see. So we've hit so many different aspects of the circus there. In the
So
events,
these are all donated. These are people that write for you.
yeah, we're a volunteer organization, volunteer run. All the people who were on there didn't get paid. They they did they were interviewed by us and kind of like what we're doing here. Yep, yep. And you just
That's
have to be a
wonderful.
member of the organization, to access some of the back ones, and to receive a copy of the bandwagon, as I mentioned. Um, so, I mentioned here the next convention as an example. Up here. So the next convention is going to come up in the fall of this year, and we'll publicize where we're gonna have it and an exact location. Um, you mentioned in your an introduction that you're interested in clowning. We may have not clowning, cartoon history. We
Hmm.
may have a presentation on Coco the Clown. We're
Oh,
working with a group that's involved in that. They may be there too. So we do reach out to other historical organizations. There's some film historical film organizations. They restore old films. They've done some things with us in the past as well. So it's a nice resource, and it does connect with others who are interested in the circus. I'm going to go back to my PowerPoint for just a second here.
Bruce,
Yep. So
in your on your
stop this
website,
screen share and then
Okay.
go on to the other one. Yep.
Okay.
Bruce, are there film clips of circus performers on the website?
Yes. One of our links there it says film and video. We have a whole series, there's over 100 interviews with circus people, many of whom are performers, in which they talk about their careers and their background. And also, there's some little clips that are included in that. Quite candidly, with the growth of YouTube and social media, uh, you can find video clips just about everywhere. If you put in a particular act, you're looking for a specific act, for example, you're probably going to find it on YouTube. But our aspect, our concern, of course, is the history of it, how it came together. Another little example. About a month ago, I got a request from PRX, which is they produce public radio content, and the request came from actually Barcelona, from Spain. One of their correspondents in Spain. They were doing a story, a podcast on the last human cannonball in Spain, and they reached out to me to ask about the history of human cannonballers. And fortunately, in the late 1970s, we had a two-part article that was written by one of our members about the history of human cannonballs going back to 1870, going forward. And I was interviewed for that. And so, that ended up in a podcast that was on NPR.
Okay,
So,
Bruce, we can't let you off the hook. Tell us about the human cannonball.
oh well, that's obviously a popular act. When it first started in the 1870s, the the idea was to propel one performer up into the trapeze. And the very first act, there was a husband and wife act. Have to have a lot of trust here. And the husband was shot up into, and his wife caught him on the trapeze. So she was inverted on
Wow.
the trapeze, and they propelled the husband up, and the wife caught him in a grip that they have. That's how it kind of started. And then over the years, of course, it evolved to the long distance over some object, or over the ring into a net, and then later into an airbag. So it's a long history of human cannonballs, and
And what is actually propelling the person?
they're springs. They're springs. I mean, the concussion sound you hear is for the effect, but essentially they use industrial bungee cords essentially to project the cannoballer through the cannon, or through the slot that they go out. And there's all different styles. Some are a cannon. It's interesting, as I mentioned earlier, circus reflects the times. During World War II and Iran, the whole idea was a giant cannon. And then over time, it became more of a human arrow. People lit on fire. You see different styles to match up with what the interest at the time. But the Ringling Brothers has a young woman, Skylar Miser, who is currently the human cannonball around Ringling. So you do see them out there in many circuses.
I'm sure the physics is challenging. You can work out the math of where you expect somebody to be, but the physical toll on the human body has to be immense to withstand that kind of pressure, that kind of release, those springs in such a quick time. That really has to take a toll.
That's right, like all circus acts, it's all about exercise. It's all about practice and development and strength training. There's so much that goes into making you physically fit to do that, just as if you were a gymnast. And landing in the net is not like falling into your bed. There's that could hurt. And of course, if you land the wrong way, you could be crippled or hurt. And the other thing that happens too is they have to set the location every single time because it is affected by the humidity. It's affected by building, whether you're outside, inside, the wind. There's a lot of things, and essentially what they do, especially they have a dummy or some weight that's exactly the right same weight as the projectile person, the cannoballer, and they fire that as a test shot to make sure that they have the net or the bag in exactly the right place. So that's the mechanical part of it too.
So I have a question here. One of our longtime followers, Jeff, the opera addict, he writes in and says, "I must ask, have you ever done a panel on?" And I apologize, E.
Pagliacci.
Pagliacci. There you go, and other
Exactly.
circuses in opera.
That's a
Oh,
very,
I see.
very good question. We have not, but I'm a musician myself, and interesting. Another composer, Scaglieri, I think it's pronounced, Italian composer. Um, in Europe, in Verona, or a suburb of Verona, Italy, there's the Scaglieri festival every year, and that festival is consists of three components: a symphony orchestra playing classical music, circus performers, and photography. And they put all three together, and they provide awards on it. But it's the Scaglieri Circus Festival in Verona, Italy, where it's not the fellow he just mentioned, the composer he just mentioned, but a similar thing. The other thing that's happening in the United States is we're seeing Cirque de la Symphony, and there's a circus company that tours the United States that matches up with local symphony orchestras, where the symphony provides the music for the circus. And I saw one performance about a year ago. It was fabulous. The violinist who was part of the circus company, she was multi-talented. She was an acrobat and she was a violinist. She came on stage to do a solo while the symphony was playing. And if you didn't know what was going to happen, it was obviously a big surprise. But she was hooked to what we call a mechanic, which is a hoist essentially, but it was a thin cable, so you didn't really notice it. And she had a really, really long gown. And during her solo, she was elevated about 40 feet into the air. And of course, the gown unfolded as it went down. So it was very, very interesting, combining again classical music with circus. But definitely, that's an area that people have interest in. And of course, it's two different audiences, but people enjoy that.
Beautiful. I love that. Wow. Hmm. All right. Do you want to continue with
Was
your
that
presentation?
filmed? Is there a clip of that on YouTube?
I don't know. Maybe. You'd have to look. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. And what was her
It's not-
name?
it was. I saw it actually in Bridgeport, Connecticut, but it was about two
Oh.
years ago. Yeah. Let's see. So if I'm going to get back to this, whoops, my presentation
Yep.
now. Okay.
Success. Yep.
Okay, cool. Okay, so now we're going to switch again. So, as I mentioned, the bandwagon, we've published it since 1939. We made a decision about 4 or 5 years ago to digitize the back issues of the bandwagon. Um, all this great research, we didn't want it to be under a bushel, if you will, and we uploaded the back issues up to the Internet Archive, which is kind of a public library. And I'm going to click. I'm going to have to switch to make that work.
Yes.
But the bandwagon collection, there's over 500 issues up there, where people can do research to find out about different things when we're just what we're talking about. And let me do that. So I'm going to have to stop the share, I guess. Click on that. Give me a second. Um,
Dad, you mentioned Buster began in vaudeville. What was it? What was the act? Do you know?
um, Trying to remember. It was a roustabout act where his father would toss him over the stage.
Okay.
He had a like a suitcase handle that was sewn into the back of his jacket so that his father could pick him up and hurl him around. A very physical type of act.
Okay.
can you see that,
Yep.
Darren? Okay.
Bandwagon.
Yep. So this is the Internet Archive. It's it's a sort of public library. What's cool about this is, well, we'll use this as an example. So we could search metadata, or there's 524 issues, or you can just do a text search. Um, so just for fun, I'm going to put in Cannonball. I'm going to try Cannonball, see what we come up with here. I think there was a metadata. Let's see. Okay, and I got to do it the other way. Sorry, I got to do a text search. Okay, so these are all the issues where human cannonballs are mentioned. It's 55 results as an example. And if you click on a particular one, you could find out about them. Let me try to find the one that's human cannonball tricks. You can see it's highlighted as I scroll down there. 76 human cannonball. 77 it was in the late 70s. Let's say 78. Well, it doesn't matter. So as you look through here, you can actually see our journal, and every place that human cannibals, there's the article right there, actually, one of the articles. And I can't make it bigger. Wait a second, I can. Oh yeah, so part 1, human cannibals. So this is one of the articles that I mentioned. And as you flip through there, I don't know if you can see this very much, but there, I'm going to get rid of this thing. Inside results. Okay, that's better. So there's like an early cannonball of Zazel, and that was 1877. You can see the image there.
Mm-hmm.
And this goes through the whole history. George Loyal, and going again from the 1800s all the way up, the mechanics of it. But this is a great example of our work that we do. Nicely researched, lots of images, different, historic images that come from great. Will Know, he was another famous cannonballer, and you can
Did
see where.
each individual cannonballer design their own cannon?
Yeah, that's right. And quite candidly, in the circus world, most performers design their own apparatus. They design their own and build their own apparatus, particularly if it's something dangerous. They want to make sure that it's absolutely right, the right materials and all that. And also wardrobe. You see a lot of circus folks design their own wardrobe, sew their own wardrobe, whatever. It's a good example again of multi-skills being used to be a performer. And that's sort of the traditional circus. There are circus companies like Circus Soleil in Feld where they'll provide the equipment, but your average smaller circus, it's a lot of do-it-yourself stuff involved.
I love hearing that. You're just reinforcing this idea that the uh, well-rounded talent is focused in circus.
It
Incredible.
really is, and the reason I like it, quite honestly, it's one of those art forms that, and I just again mentioned, I attended this festival in Monte Carlo last week. The orchestra was 18 pieces. The music was outstanding. The choreography was, you know, over the hill. The wardrobe was spectacular. All those different art forms combined together to create this experience, for the audience, and the acrobatic skills. I mean, I have fortunate enough to go backstage and watch people loosen up. In fact, back to a term that's used in the circus world is kinker, and kinker comes from people refer to acrobats as kinkers because they're always stretching, get the kinks out before they perform. So that's a circus lingo that you hear, the kinkers. And I was watching, the kinkers get ready, and they have to perform so they don't get hurt. Like all athletes, you want to be warmed up, your muscles warmed up, all that good stuff, but also to make it beautiful. In recent times, I mentioned earlier classical music being combined with circus, but also ballet. I saw an act not too long ago where the wire walker, high wire walker, was on point. She was on
Wow.
point on a high wire, 40 feet in the air. So combining that, together is kind of cool, and you get to see that in circus where you have multi things.
Are there any specialties in circus that somebody wouldn't diversify their skills where they say like, no, this is my one talent, all my energy goes into this one skill?
Um, I don't think so. And the reason I say that is that many circus people are multi-generational. So, you're in your eighth generation, sixth generation, and in order to survive that, you have to have other skills. So you reach a point where you can't perform anymore. Well, you go into management, you go into marketing, you go into some other aspect of the circus, or maybe you're no longer performing acrobatic acts, but maybe you're doing juggling. So, and another term in the circus is to be generally useful. In many circus employment agreements, it says your job is to do this and to be generally useful. And generally useful means that you have other things that you can do in order to supplement your income and to fill in. Another example is the word cherry pie, the term cherry pie. Cherry pie means extra work. So people who have sign up to do one thing with the circus, but to make a little extra money, maybe they drive a truck, that's cherry pie. Or maybe they set up the bleachers, that's cherry pie. So being multi-talented, multi-skilled is part of the whole circus culture.
I love it.
Bruce,
Mm.
maybe I don't know the clip that we saw last night with Bill Taggart.
Yep.
Is that available for others to watch if they wanted to
Yes.
go to your site?
Yeah, it'll be uploaded probably tomorrow morning. I just got a text as we're sitting here. I thought it'd be uploaded this afternoon, but it'll be tomorrow night. To get to that, and let's go over there for a moment. I'll show you our YouTube channel.
Because everybody really should take a peek at this clip. It's really well done. It's um, Bill Taggart. You want to explain who he was?
Sure.
Just reshare your screen, Bruce.
Okay, just a second. I'm just going to click
Yep,
over
go ahead.
to our channel. Just give me one split second here. Whoops.
Basically, the clip we're talking about, I saw it last night. Bill Taggart spent a lifetime in circus, and I don't know how old he was at that point, 84, I think I remember. But he talks about his life, starting how he got into the circus and all the different jobs that he had during the years. And he had a great sense of humor, really a funny, funny man.
Yeah, he is here's our YouTube channel. So if you go to YouTube and you put in Circus Historical, you can see this, right?
Yep,
Yep.
Um, oh my goodness. It was uploaded already.
there it is on the left.
My social media person is phenomenal. Anya Norris is her name. So there it is. I don't want to click on it because it'll start the thing rolling. But this is a good example. There's what Sal's talking about, this gentleman here. We did a tribute on Bill. He died Christmas Eve, sadly, at 94. And that photograph of him it was taken in 1956. He was a ticket seller on Ringling Brothers Circus, and he's in the ticket wagon, this photo right here. But he reminisces about his time. Here's some other things. I mentioned Bello Knock. Bello is right over here, the fellow with the tall hair, the clown. He's an acrobat. He was with Ringling for many years, and he was on America's Got Talent. Here's Paul Binder. Paul founded the Big Apple Circus. This young lady over here is Lauren Irving. She's the current ringmaster on Ringling Brothers. Very talented singer. Really does a terrific job. So there are all these videos here are past circus history spotlights and YouTube's, and circus history live programs. There's lots of stuff there. If you want to know more about us, please go to the YouTube channel and put in Circus Historical Society, and you can find that. We have 646 subscribers, 80 videos right now.
Bruce, are there any circus traditions that have fallen out of favor in recent times that you would like to see come back or reimagined for a contemporary audience?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say that, and this is interesting. There are so many creative people who are trying to do something different all the time. In fact, one of the criteria to be selected to compete in Monte Carlo is you have to do an act or a trick that is different. And so we sometimes have performers come to us and they say, I remember hearing in history there was somebody who did this trick. Can we find that? And we try to help them find the name of the person and send it to our journals and they figure that out. And so you'll see performers go back and look at that. So the triple somersault trapeze is sort of the ultimate issue. The movie Trapeze was all about that. The whole story is about that. Well, we've reached a point now, well, just like figure skating, they're doing quadruple somersaults. And in Monte Carlo, the act that won the gold crown, the golden clown, excuse me, which is the gold award, was the Flying Caballeros. They're a Mexican American family. They're based in Las Vegas. They not only did a triple, they did three triples and three quadruples in the same performance. Um, and that's kind of the level we're at. But people are building upon what was done in the past, bring it forward. One of the triples was done by a young woman, and it was just great to see that. So I would say that what's old is new. I like to use the term nostalgia. In the circus world, people like to see things that are sort of nostalgic, the way the circus was in the past, in their childhood, whatever, but they want the latest technology too. So, another little example, there are three or four circuses in Europe that when you go to see them and walk on the lot, the wagons all look like they were made in the 1920s. They have stained glass windows, beautiful carvings. Circus Roncalli is an example of that. They're in Germany. But when you go in and watch the show, they combine traditional with modern stuff. They use scrims with video images projected on the scrim, and then live performance too. But nostalgia. So it's that look of what it was like, but yet using the latest technology. So circus reinvents itself all the time. Post pandemic, it went off the charts. Of course, everybody closed down during the pandemic, and then during that time they all rebuilt. They all got together and within their companies and figured out when we come back, we got to do something different. And we're seeing that right now, quite honestly. And that's the counts for the great proliferation of circuses. There's actually one circus company in the United States that has 6 units on the road. It's called Circitalia, and they have Circus Paranormal, 2 or 3 units. The Water Circus, one company has 6 units that are on the road. And we're also seeing another trend towards what I call almost burlesque adult type circus, where circus is kind of moving towards more of adult entertainment. There's 2 or 3 shows out there that are, you have to be over 18 to attend. Um, and interestingly, from an historic point of view, that's how circus started out. It was more for adult entertainment. And then over time, particularly the Ringling Brothers and Barnum brought in, make this a family entertainment for children and whatever. But again, now we're going the other way. We're seeing more burlesque style, adult theme circuses. Bottom line is the public has tremendous choices as to what they would like. You can go to a building, you can go to a tent, you can do Cirque du Soleil, you can see a burlesque style circus, you can see a music circus that has symphony components. We've got it all.
I know we're nearing the end of our time, but I want to get in a few more questions and topics. Where does magic play a role, if it plays a role, in circus?
It sure does. It sure does. Magic. You see the traditional magic act, with the illusions, but you also see very common quick change artists, or it's usually a woman performer, but would be men too, that change their clothes instantly. You see a lot of that. So that's a magic component that comes along as well. Sure.
There's a question here. Are there any new trends in circus food?
That's a good question too. People associate popcorn with the circus, and popcorn's a big thing. Pink lemonade. In fact, we were recently approached by the food editor of the New York Times, and he wanted to know how did pink lemonade come about? And I referred him to one of our historians, and Betsy Golden Kellum is her name, and she was interviewed, and the short answer was it was kind of by accident back in the 20s or 30s, they were trying to make the sell the lemonade, make it look different, and someone had accidentally washed their red tights in the water that became the lemonade, and it became pink. And then said, "Hey, this is pretty good. People like this pink color." And that's one way that it happened. So in the food area, that was one where pink lemonade came. Um, and of course, the use of the word jumbo came from the circus. We have jumbo shrimp, we have jumbo hot dogs, and of course, it's all named after Jumbo the elephant that Barnum came up with, and for the elephant. So yeah, there are some new trends in circus food that you see out there, or at least there are things that originate in the circus or were enhanced by the circus over the years.
It feels good hearing all these stories because I remember there was a period of time where circuses were considered uh, not welcomed family entertainment any longer. And it sounds like it's gone through that cycle and it's come out very well.
Well, absolutely true. And in Europe in particular, the circus as an art form has always been a little more I don't want to sound snobbish or anything, but lumped in with with the opera and ballet and whatever. It's that kind of level of art, and what they've done over the years, particularly in Germany, France, Hungary, certainly, and some other countries, Italy, the government has supported that, and they treat circus in the same category as, say, opera. And sometimes they're available for grants, there are things like that. So you have a little more of that happening out there. But as I said, there's different forms that people can have, and a lot of it's driven by what it costs. Some circuses are expensive. Circus tickets could be 80, $90. It costs you $500 to bring a family to the circus in some settings. And in other places, you could do the whole thing with a family of four for $100. The key is you buy the popcorn because that's how you support the circus is buying the concessions and the popcorn. But there's a little bit for everyone there, and it has definitely become more welcome. And I might add one little piece here. The main reason post-pandemic is people are tired of looking at things online and they want to see the live thing. I attended a circus in New York at the New Victory Theater about a month ago, and I was sitting in the back by myself in the audience in the balcony. And I heard some kids behind me, and they said, that's real. That's not AI. Those people are really flying through the air, And I think there's a desire for the reality of things. And interestingly, there's a big interest now in paper media, our bandwagon. We give people the option to go digital or paper. And a lot of people said, I'd rather have the paper and have something in my hands. So the trend is going back in that way. And I think that's what's responsible for the growth of the circus right now, popularity.
Bruce, do the circuses recruit new people that want to become aerialists or tightrope walkers or even clowns?
Yep, absolutely. There are Ringling Brothers and Cirque du Soleil are probably the best examples where they do big auditions all over the world looking for people. Cirque du Soleil has a tradition of attracting people who are Olympians, who are acrobats and specialists, and they come on board and they go through a training program and do that. But most circuses, as I say, it's a family affair. There are people who multi-generation, and there are people who run away with the circus, and they're the first. They go to a circus school. We have many, many circus schools in the United States right now. Just about every community has some type of circus school. Some are recreational, kind of like young people would take gymnastics or ballet, and they're not necessarily all going to be ballerinas or gymnasts, but they appreciate when they go to see a circus or see a ballet, what it takes to be a dancer or an acrobat. And the same thing is true in the circus too. So we have a lot of kids, people, young people coming out of the school. Circus Juventus in Minneapolis is a great example. Big school, 1,000 students. Many of them they're a feeder into Cirque du Soleil and some others. There's circus schools in Sarasota, uh, connected with the university there. There's many circus schools in the United States, and that's the future of at least of performers.
I
Darren, do
love
you
it.
want to read DJ's question? I have a feeling that it's going to be a little bit too lengthy for the answer, but
Well, I
we
think that's
we
I think that's good. I'm going to share his question, and we'll give Bruce a moment to respond, and then I want to show off again Bruce's website and how everybody can connect because they're
okay.
going to want to learn more. DJ asks, when and where were the first circuses, and when did they begin in the United States?
That's a great question. First circuses were in Rome. If you go to Rome, there is the chariot races, and it goes all the way back to Rome. Philip Astley in England kind of started what we call the modern circus in the 1700s, and it was built around horses. And quite honestly, the circus ring is 42 feet in diameter, which is the exact dimension you need for a full-size horse to run at a gallop. That's how that circus ring was designed, and they still use that 42 feet as the size for a circus for that reason. So Philip Astley started it in Europe, and then it came to the United States. Ricketts in Philadelphia is where it started here, going back to George Washington, like the circus, and then it developed from there. But it goes back. Modern circus kind of started in the late 1700s. Circus started in Roman times.
Wow,
Love it.
that was a
All
good.
right,
Yeah,
go ahead, Pop.
no, that was a good bullet point version of where do circuses come from.
Yeah. Thank you, Bruce. And everyone, here we have circushistory.org. This is the website we were looking at earlier. Oh, wait a second. Is it sharing?
Yeah, it's good. Can you
It
click
did?
on the join us button? Just scroll down a little bit.
Right here?
Yeah,
Yep.
click on that one. Yeah.
And there we go.
Yeah. So if you want to join us, there's the link. It's on our main site there. It's only $60 a year, and that entitles you to the bandwagon, the Journal Quarterly, and access to our backyard, which is another circus term, where you can go to our bookstore and see some things that are not available on the public website. Um, and you could choose if you want the first class delivery, it's an extra $20. Or if you're outside the United States, it's a little more because of the mailing cost. Uh, but bottom line is that's who we are. And it's one of those things where you just follow the prompts to come in. But it's a great group. We welcome everybody from all different backgrounds, and I'm very happy that we have a lot of young people who are interested in this, and I'm very proud of my board. Our board, we have 18 people on our board, and a lot of them are I'd say under 50. I'm old, but under 50, and they come to us through different backgrounds. Some are writers, some are interested in their family. I call that sort of the ancestry.com segment. That's just a photograph of some of our members at a convention we had in Illinois 2 years ago. But and again, backyard is a circus term. It's being back. It's be behind the scenes kind of thing is the backyard term. But again, we'd love to have you join us. And there's a link to our bookstore. We sell lots of used books that are donated to us for folks who are, looking for circus stuff that you can't find anymore. They're out of print books and things. And again, it's a fundraising for us. There's our, what is that? Oh yeah,
Facebook.
Our Facebook page. Very active. Facebook, I want to say 13,500 people. Um, and you can see we post almost daily something on there. Um, that's the one that Sal referred to last night's program. Um, but again, I encourage people to join if they have questions. Please go to our website and click on it. Usually all the info at Circus History comes to me, so I'll be happy to answer. There's our YouTube channel.
Bruce, I'll let you continue. You're a great promoter. Here we have celebrity museums. Go for it.
Okay. Thank you for including me in celebrity museums. And I'm so glad that you did the Barnum. Of course, Kathy's a good friend, and I see you did the Buffalo Bill
Oh
Museum.
yeah.
Interestingly, there's a big relationship between Buffalo Bill and Barnum and Bailey Circus. When Barnum and Bailey went to Europe, Buffalo Bill actually took the winter quarters in Bridgeport, which is just outside of New York City in Connecticut. So there was connections between those two forms of entertainment, two businesses actually.
And everyone, we also have coming up the Museum of Classic Sci-Fi. That's going to be heading across the pond again. We're looking forward to that, and the Titanic experience at the Volo Museum. So there's a lot more to look forward to. Bruce, thank you so much. Obviously, you're a wealth of knowledge, and we appreciate you spending your time with us this morning.
You're welcome. It was my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful rest of your week, and we'll see you next time. Bye,
See you
everybody.
down the
Bye
road.
bye
See you
all.
down the road. That's the circus term. See you down the road.
See you
See you
down the
down the
road.
road.
Bye bye.
Bye, everybody.